Save Our Kids is an opportunity for you to be introduced to a few school and student helpers. If there is a space or a place to improve the lives of our children, we know a few families and business owners who have made it their business to answer the call for help and provide a solution to those challenges that impact our children and eventually us all. We could not just choose one kiddo to save, so we are asking for your help to reach more. Join Keeping Your Kids Safe as we identify some of the problems and share a few solutions that have been created just for you. Okay, we're here. We made it. We got one more person coming on, so we're just, I'm excited. We made it. Thank you so much for coming. Thanks so much. We got this, right? So this is going to be a conversation not to miss, for sure. I don't know what waiting room. I think that it's a link. So send this, please. All right. So first, I want to always remember to thank you for choosing to spend the time with me and talk about our solutions, but also thank the teachers and administrators for doing the job that are doing and being the advocates that they are for all of us, right? I want to say the quote of the day is every child in your class is someone's whole world, right? So that's what we have to remember. So before we go ahead and get everything and we start to pull out our solutions and things like that, we really do need to understand what we are solving for and what the problem, what solution we're bringing to the table. So I always like to start with the stats, and the stats are very, very hard to take sometimes, but we want to make sure we're setting up a very clear example as to why we're doing what we do. So if we look at it, we have 18 million families that feed into the 53 million children that go to school every year, K through 12. Okay. So we know that they're estimating by the year 2031, there is going to be a decline in the number of students that are going to school down to approximately 46.9. But if we look at it in general, it's K through 8 it makes up about 32.6 million children in schools. But we have about 4 million teachers across 90,000 schools in the US, and about 35% of them are saying that they want to quit. And that was based off of a 2023 study. They don't feel empowered to teach. The pay is part of the problem, but the workload is actually what's actually helping to contribute to that, right? And so that's important. I always want to let people know that 90% of our children are sleep deprived. That is 9-0. So that means that we're either overscheduling them, they're too tired to pay attention. There's some definite challenges in there. Okay. And then, and they're about a year behind. So those are some of the stats we talk about, but because of what we're here to talk about with the leaders we have here today, we want to make sure that we pull out that 1 in 5 kids are bullied and 5.4 million students skip school every day due to bullying. Okay. That's a problem. 60% of boys bullied will have at least one criminal conviction by the age of 25. We need to do something about that, right? I don't want to talk about that, but what I will share is this. So Orly's here, and I wanted to make sure it's very clear. First of all, human trafficking is all of our problems, period. I don't know how else to say it. So if you look at all criminal trafficking case, 57% of them are minors. 66% of sex trafficking cases are minors, okay? And it doesn't mean that it's only girls. It is actually boys as well. There is 18% that is actually reported to be boys that are going into this. And trafficking means that it's not just sex, it is labor as well. So they are being abused and taken and picked up. And we're going to talk a little bit about some of the myths and facts when it comes to that. One of the things I want to make sure that we're very clear about is that we can make that change based off of what we start to notice and see. So that's important. Oh, and the other thing is it's also for body parts too. They are picking up kids and young adults or whatever for body parts. So now we're going to go to school shootings and the being safe in schools, right? Number of schools by school type since Columbine. In high school, since Columbine, we have experienced 73 shootings. In elementary schools, we have 17. In university, they have it as 7. And K through 12 or other schools, there's 8. And in middle and junior high, it's 26. So everybody who was asked to join me here today is participating in some parts of those specific stats. We're here to share our solutions for what we can do to help save our children and protect them in their lives as they move forward. So I'm going to go ahead and let James kick it off while we figure out where a couple of people. I like to first say thank you, Brandy. Thank you, Kristen. Thank you, Phil, for joining us. Thank you, Sia, Catherine. We really do appreciate your support. So we're going to go ahead and, if I do this right, go ahead. We're going to bring James up here first so we can see what he has brought to the table and would like to share with us.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to speak, Tabitha. Just like the last time, this time I do appreciate it a lot, simply because it is such an innovative process that we're bringing to the table here for reporting, especially in schools, hotels, motels, municipalities. But for the sake of this conversation, I want to keep it really simple and just keep it to schools. Our product is, think of QR codes inside of your mind. Everybody knows what a QR code. There's one right here on our screen, actually. You can scan and connect with me on LinkedIn by scanning that right there. Now, imagine for a second if you had that inside of, and you had a screen set up just like our live stream here, a screen set up inside of a bathroom stall of every single school, and every single school, every single kid in the school that has a Chromebook, because Chromebooks are ubiquitous now throughout the nation. And laptops in general, and they had a link on inside of it that the kids could report from. And also you could even have inside of every single locker you could have pardon me, sorry about that. You could have a little flyer that sticks to the back of the locker where the kid can scan a QR code from the locker, go to a link on their laptop, or go into a bathroom stall where a physical screen is, in case during the day, if the kid has something to report, they can safely report from a bathroom stall. And they're talking directly to the teachers, the threat assessment teams that are on campus. Imagine that power. Now, imagine it came through to a platform that it's literally built for collaboration, so that the threat assessment team can respond immediately. And then anything that needs to be tracked in terms of the report tracking and exporting the report and making sure that it's written in the correct formats and standards, we do that too automatically. So the school doesn't have to worry about that. The school just has to worry about focusing in on the kids and making sure that they're taking care of the kids and providing to them an environment that is safe. Now, I'm going to give you guys a story, something I just talked to Tabitha about beforehand, that'll kind of help you get over the hump of thinking like, well, if we put these QR codes in the schools, doesn't that send a message to the parents and the schools and everybody else that this isn't a safe environment? We have problems. It's the exact opposite, actually. Just that is the same line of thinking that the Titanic took before they launched out. They didn't put enough lifeboats on their actual ship because they were abiding by the standards of the law that only said they needed to have, a quarter of the amount of lifeboats on that size of a ship, that there never had been a ship that size before built. So they were abiding by the law, but it just wasn't enough. And the reason why they decided not to put more lifeboats on the ship is because they didn't want to send the message that it isn't safe, that, hey, the reason why, we have all these lifeboats here is because it's not safe. So they were thinking it's going to hurt business. The same message, if you think about it, with the lifeboats, it's not sending that message. It's saying we care about you. We care about you and your safety in the event that something does happen, right? That's the message that it's sending. It's changing the culture, the idea of how you're actually going to be able to help these kids out. So I was bullied when I was in school, when I was younger, right? A lot of it was attested to. I could actually look back on it now and be like, oh, it was probably just kids trying to joke with me and mess with me. But, in terms of like, how I was perceiving, my perception was probably off and skewed. But there were some instances that were definitely just bullying. But a lot of it could have been just perception, and that could have been helped if I was able to speak or send something into a teacher and they could talk to me like, hey, it sounds like that kid's just trying to, talk to you. Maybe we can set something up where you two can talk. That's what a lot of schools are doing now with a lot of the really great processes and procedures that they have in place. We're just trying to add a tool to allow you to use those amazing processes and procedures that you put into place already. I hope that makes sense.
Yes. And actually, I'm glad you give that because that's a very good point. When we have enough safety equipment, we are actually saying we're not preparing for your death. We're preparing for your life. We think of you, we thought of you long enough and we know enough of you and we want you to make sure that you're safe. So that is a big message for that, for sure. I think that for you,
Absolutely.
I feel like the one thing that I knew about your situation, about what you were able to offer, is that you fit both the preparation of what can we do to avoid getting into these challenging
Right.
situations, and then you are on the opposite side is, okay, so we couldn't prevent you from landing over there, but how can we get you out of it? And
That's
that's made
exactly
a significant difference. So I really do appreciate that for sure. And there was got some people that are sorry, got some people who definitely see the power in what you have. We got Kristen. It's amazing. What a great way to for a response.
Thank
This
you,
is
Kristen.
definitely things that are going to be very helpful. Oh, she sent connections to you. Oh, thanks, James. Joseph. James is in front of me. Joseph. But okay, so now we're going to hear from Orly. Let's see what she has to bring to the table, what she wants to do. What are you up to, my friend? Okay, you're on mute, ma'am.
I was trying to avoid any background noise here in the hotel. I made it. I made it. First of all, thank you, Tabitha, for doing this. I think it's a very big conversation to have. And without knowledge, people cannot be prepared. And without preparedness, we can't save our children, no matter what we do. And so thank you for that, for even having this platform. I think it's amazing. James, thank you so much for everything that you're doing, because obviously there are tools for us to follow and to adapt to that are not necessary to reinvent the wheel or to do anything else that has not worked in the past, obviously, because we have still so many challenges.
Yep.
On my end, we have You Are My Light is a foundation for building healing centers for rescued victims of human trafficking. And for those of you who do know about human trafficking, maybe there are some things that you hear that are maybe myths, and maybe people are just inventing things, right? I mean, there is that. I can tell you this is very real. We have been on rescues. We have been in touch with rescuers. We're very close to what's really going on. I'll give you some statistics. Kids as babies, it begins even as babies. It's sick to think, but there is some serious evil in this world. And some of these kids are taken when they're 5, 6 years old. And by the time they come out, they're maybe 18 years old. And they make them have babies with each other so that they can continue and propel this nonsense and evil. I like to call it evil. I don't know what to call it anyway. But there's hope. The hope is us getting involved, watching out for each other, watching out for each other's children. Let me give you some statistics. The chance of a survival of a rescued victims is 7 days. So that means they die within 7 days. Now, let me tell you what really happens during those rescues. They take them either to foster care or they take them to shelters, depending on their age group. So in foster care, this is where it starts. Sex and labor slavery. Not everyone, of course, there's some really great parents out there, and we want to thank those parents for really being the pillars of our community. But where there comes to some people who are not, foster care is actually a breeding of human trafficking and sex and labor slavery for children. So they run away from those homes because they're being abused sexually, physically, mentally, and so they run away. When they run away, what do you think they're going to do? They're going to go to the streets and they're going to find a way to do some more harm to themselves. And what happens is that they either get caught by the cops and the cops take them into jail, and then they don't know how to handle them, so they give them drugs to calm them down where they're already drugged. So what happens is that they overdose and they die, or they put them in a cell where they cannot be with anyone else, so they commit suicide. So all of this is something. Is this with you guys or me? Is that coming from you guys? Oh, I don't know, there was a noise. Sorry about that. I am in a public place, obviously. So what happens is that they commit suicide. So that whole process is about 7 days. Same thing with the adults. They're put into shelters. Shelters have no room, no budget, no food, nothing to place these victims. They are victims first, right? I mean, they're rescued. I don't like to say that they're victims because they were once we rescue them. But at the end of the day, they come out not knowing where to go, what to do, and how to start over. So they either go back to their perpetrators, or they go to the streets and then get caught and then go into jail and then commit suicide or go on overdose. 7 days is the lifespan of a rescued victim. Now, other politicians will tell you that the lifespan of a rescued victim is 2 years. Well, if they're taken care of, if they're taken in, if they're in a safe place, if somebody's there to nurture them, not only physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And this is why I created You Are My Light Foundation, because we are building the healing center that will support all of it, from the detoxification at the entrance of it to giving them some mental health therapy, whatever they need. We need to assess their condition first, then obviously we'll give them the therapy that they need. From there, they will go into learning soft skills and actually learn to play. They were taken as children, so they've been stolen their childhood, and it's a very, very sad environment for them, because now they don't know how to be kids. And you got to understand the enormity of this. It's all over the world. It's $150 billion industry. And nowadays, the cartels are getting in on it, because now they don't have to move drugs. They just have to move people. And people are easier to move. Actually, they just have to put them in a hotel room, and then they just sell them all night long. It happens every day. Now, our goal is also to educate the hospitality industry and other industries to watch out for what does it look like when a child is being trafficked. We got to stop this.
So you know what, I like this, and the reason why, and there's a few points I want to make sure that we bring out.
Yeah.
So for all those people, I just want you to be clear: $150 billion a year. That is an industry that is being monitored, because that is the only way you can count that money. So if you think for one moment that it is not happening elsewhere or in your neighborhood or whatever, you would be sadly mistaken. Because I remember my kids going to school and all of this stuff happening. And so these are the stories I'm going to bring. And a few years later, we seen a news. So on the news, they were like, this young man, he aspired to be a pimp. Turned out, didn't know that when he was going to school, but he knew what he wanted. He used the school, his high school, as a breeding ground. He went and he started scoping and finding, and he would go and capture or convince the girls to come with him and do things. And then now they're in this business where he has no business. So I'm kind of confused why we think that it's just not going to happen.
So I actually want to back you up on that. Something that I'm very grateful to have the mentors that I've had down in Georgia, actually, and one of them is Jose Ramirez. If you look him up, he's the president of the GGIA, which is the Georgia Gang Investigators Association. That entire association has been incredibly helpful in my research for the past few years. And quite honestly, what you're saying, Tabitha, is absolutely correct. High schools are a breeding ground actually for human trafficking here in the United States of America, as well as gang activity being the perpetrator of that. And sometimes schools don't even know that gang activity is happening, but you know who does know? The kids. And that's exactly why a tool like ours and the way that we developed it is exactly the tool that you need. If you look at the statistics and the data from the US Secret Service and their most recent massive study that they conducted, they actually said that a majority, 60+% of the time, it is students that are the ones reporting something in. And let me tell you, 60% might not seem like a big number. It is huge. But here's the next closest statistical number, 12%. So we're talking about a serious discrepancy in terms of where the actual data is coming from. And if you begin to make this subset larger and larger, it's only going to grow. And the thing is, it goes by school by school by school. Now, it's something I want to stress to the parents and to the teachers and to the people listening into this right now, that it does also extend to hotels, motels, just like Orly brought up. That's actually one of our target markets that we're really trying to aim for, to get a reporting tool inside of the hotels and motels for the purposes of report things like human trafficking, domestic violence, drug use, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, to keep safer environments overall, so that we can have people like a Corey Jones come in there and teach people how to actually go and communicate with them appropriately to get people out, or to create and develop the partnerships with local law enforcement to get them out. Or let's say it's a hospital and you have our tool inside of a hospital, and we actually have a human trafficking victim and they connect with Orly, right? In her actual location. It's right there. Because a lot of hospitals, this is not hospitals at all. My mom is a nurse. My brother's a nurse. I have a ton of my friends who are nurses and doctors, and they do a great job and they do the best that they absolutely can, but they lack in the mental health department. My girlfriend is a nurse, by the way. Also, she's a DMP. Oh my God, how did I forget to say that? She's brilliant. And Corey, you know her. She's an amazing woman. But anyway, sorry, I apologize to Lisa. But genuinely, if we can have a way to get people who can help out with these individuals through the mental health realm, or providing some type of safety report, or something that could maybe help kids, like a kid hears about a potential gang hit that's going to be at a football game later, they can put it through and the police department can be ready, preemptively get ready, and they can do scannings for potential guns that are coming on campus. And that's why we're creating the partnerships that we are right now, and why we're here with Tabitha and Orly and Corey. So I just really want to stress that what you're saying, Tabitha, is 1000% correct. And I want every single person that's here listening to this to know that the things that are being said right now, it's not fairy tale land. It's not, and pardon my language, it's not bullshit. This is real. This is a real problem. It has been a real problem for a long, long time, actually, and it's getting worse. You have to think about these individuals as if they're cattle herders, because that's how they think about themselves and the people that they are going after. They will use every last bit of that human being until they are completely wasted away or dead. I'm done.
Correct. And so that is very good. I'm glad that you did that. I'm going to go ahead and bring Corey up so that he can have an opportunity to share what he does, because all of you are extremely instrumental in all of this. And I want to make sure that everybody has a chance to know exactly who you are and what you do. So go ahead, Corey, share with them.
Corey's a great man.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for welcoming me on. I apologize. I was having some technical issues earlier today. How's it going, James? Good to see you, brother.
My man.
I want to pick up on one thought that James was alluding to when he finished. These bad guys, these traffickers, these scumbags, these criminals, think of our children as subhuman. They're at a minimum. That's probably the best word they would think of them. They don't care about them. They just think of them as subhuman. So I just wanted to put that out there, that I agree with James that we got to get to this issue earlier and earlier and earlier. And impact makes it much easier for either the student or potential victim, a friend, a family member, or a witness to go ahead and report suspicious activity soon, as opposed to seeing something on the news and going, oh, wait, I think I saw that. Again, any reporting is better than no reporting, but we want to get this soon so we can prevent something terrible from happening. So real quickly, again, my name's Corey Jones. I'm the owner and founder of Safety Man Consulting, at Safety Man CEO on all social media. And why am I doing what I'm doing? Well, I was a police officer for 27 years, and then I got into private security after I retired from that. And during that 27 years, you might laugh when I say this, but I developed a particular set of skills, and I found that I could use those skills to help my clients, whether they be individuals, public places, government institutions, and even law enforcement agencies. I can use that skill set to help them increase their safety, decrease their likelihood of violence or complaints, and improve the outcomes of everything. So that's just really, really general what I do. Getting it very specific here to school safety is obviously like James alluded to. I'm fully bought in on this impact. I love it. Every time I go to a school to do a coaching session for my clients for active shooter or crisis management or de-escalation, I always push just 5 seconds. Hey, take a look at impact, because half of this is if we got this reporting in earlier, we'd be able to interrupt this cycle. So I'm based outside of Philadelphia. Go Eagles! About 20 minutes away from the stadium. I can see it on a good day in the winter when there's no leaves on the tree. I can see the center city.
Go
So
Birds.
I'll go anywhere. Yes, exactly. Go Birds. Anywhere my clients want to fly me, I will go. I've been to Vegas, Texas, Florida, all the cool places. All the cool places.
All the
So
cool
far,
places.
no one's had me go to South Dakota yet, so I'm okay with that. So when's the best time to contact me is now, really now. Anytime something pops up on your radar, you hear your neighbor, your team member, your coworker, anybody, you hear somebody talking about something that could impact you physically, if it could hurt you or somebody you care about. It could impact you financially, right? It could cost you a lot of money. Some scams going around, something's happening, even if it's just a phishing scam email, anything like that. That's preemptive knowledge. That's what our whole goal today is, get ways to do that. So call Safety Man as soon as you something pops up on your radar that could potentially harm you physically, financially, emotionally, and your reputation. Your business, one thing that you really want to protect is your reputation. Because just watch TV. We don't have to go too far to see one person can do one thing sideways, or a bad event under their control could happen to that establishment, and they failed to take preemptive steps to protect their team members, their clients, and so forth. So that's when you should call Safety Man. Is as soon as you decide, as soon as you make that choice, I want to increase my safety, decrease my liability, and improve my outcomes. Reach out to Safety Man. That's all I have, and I'm happy to take questions, but that's all I have prepared.
Well, that's pretty good. I was, like I said, I was happy that all of you are on here because you can do what we can do to prevent. You can talk about that. And then you also say, okay, well, we weren't able to prevent it. So now this is what you do to protect or to help to resolve the problem. So all of you are here for very specific reasons and doing it all because I recognize that we can do this. Together we can do this. So again, for anyone who hasn't been here with me before, my name is Tabitha Barron, and I am the founder of Keeping Your Kids Safe. Because of a family incident where my 5-year-old niece was placed on the wrong school bus twice in the same school year, I started to recognize that this problem was bigger and had been continuing over a period of time. It was time for me to actually create a solution instead of just being part of the problem that says, oh, it's your responsibility to take care of this. No, I needed to participate in the solutions that will solve the problems and the trauma that's being added to our children. So our platform does help students effectively communicate their way home. Parents will get a text message during the process. Administrators will know instantly whether or not they're sending that kiddo in the right direction or the wrong direction. My platform that I am offering is it's like insurance. We all get insurance because when we wreck our car, when and if we ever wreck our car, it can be covered. This is the same thing. You do not want to ever lose a child, because remember the quote for today: every child in your class or that you know is someone's whole world. And we want to make sure that every child goes home. And so, Corey, you are a police officer for 27 years. James is saying, okay, I have some way for us to report the bullying, report the mistreatment, report sex, like someone coercing others into situations that they don't want to be in. And then Orly's like, okay, well, after the rescue, they need to have a place to go. So what are some of the things that that each one of you feel that we should want to, as parents, how do we protect, or what do we need to do to protect our children in school and at home? Because the school and home, that corridor is where a lot of these people, a lot of these children are being picked up. And then we have to, and I want to be clear, I am the first parent. I'm the one at home, right? My second parent or my third parent is the school. So we all have to partner together in order to
Yes.
solve this problem collectively. So
So
go ahead. Go, James.
yeah, I'm going to say this will be the last thing I have to say, but then I got to jump. And yeah, Joe, thank you for saying impactful. No pun intended to impact the product that I'm spitting today. But that's actually what I was going to say, Tabitha, is genuinely that you have to create a partnership. So at the end of the day, we might have a reporting tool, but genuinely the purpose of our product is actually the collaboration piece, right? It's so important, communication and collaboration, and allowing people to just do their jobs execution wise directly to help that child in the shortest amount of time is the thing that's going to make the greatest impact, right? That's why we did name it that, right? It's a instant messaging platform and communication and or collaboration tool, right? That's what it stands for, impact. So like that's at the end of the day, one of the most important things is making sure that these teams and these people, these communities can actually collaborate with each other in a make sense, secure environment.
So do you think that, Corey, have you seen where the community has been instrumental in helping to prevent or to actually recover different children or young adults who have become prey?
That has happened. In Mount Laurel, we have the second most hotel rooms of any jurisdiction in the state of New Jersey, up on 73, 25 New Jersey Turnpike corridor.
Yep.
Because of that, we absolutely have a high prevalence of human trafficking, whether it be through spas and girls that are taken from Asian countries and put in spas. Did you have something, James?
I have to go. I'll see you guys
No.
later. I apologize.
Thank you
Hey,
so
thanks for
much.
your input, brother. Be safe.
Appreciate you. See you later, Corey. We'll talk later, brother. Love you,
got it.
man. See you.
So continuing on your question, Tabitha, a lot of that was some community reporting. Some of it was through old-fashioned investigation, but some of it was through community reporting. Stepping outside of that realm into just kids or maybe being bullying, active parents have definitely been helpful. We used to have a really active neighborhood watch program and all in Mount Laurel when I was there, and that just kind of fell by the wayside. I think when people started getting Ring video doorbell cameras, they felt that, okay, technology will take care of me. I don't have to actually do anything anymore. And we're realizing that technology is just a picture of what happened afterwards. Oh, that's the guy we have to go look for, but Corey's still missing, right? Corey's being abused right now. Corey's being is on a boat going to some other place. So again, my thing is invest to protect our precious youth, to protect them. We are going to have the hard conversation with them. Okay. And younger and younger and younger and younger. I have two stepkids, and I had that hard conversation when my youngest, when he was 6, because now he was going to be walking to school, didn't have to take the bus to school. It was a new neighborhood, new state for him. So everything was new. And I had to have, these AirPods, can't be walking around with them. He can't be walking around. But it's really hard to explain that to people. So then I want to preempt it. I want to preempt something happening, right? So I give him just some basic things. If you're halfway between home and school and you see a strange car, where you go to school, you'll see the crossing guard. Go to the crossing guard and say, I need help, right? If you're past the crossing guard, then just sprint. Sprint, make a lot of noise. We don't talk to anybody. I will never have to send anybody to come get you. If I do, I know enough people. I'll send a police officer there too. So don't worry about it. So yeah, not everybody can do that, but everybody is creative, and everybody can come up with something creative, whether it be the code words, you know. So and then plan. We have to actually practice it. Just one day on a Saturday, drive the kids to the school, have them figure out 3 ways to go home. Right, 3 different ways to walk home. Why? Why 3 different ways? Well, let's just say they're going on the street and there's a car that they don't like. The dog's there that they don't like. This group, this gang, these bad guys are there. They don't want to go there. Well, they need to find another way. And that's not when you want to make stuff up. You want to already know and be comfortable and confident that I can do that. Or on that same plan, hey, we know them. That's the Wilsons. Let's go knock on their door. And then we go knock on the Wilsons' door when we're doing our planning phase. And they're like, "What are you doing here on Saturday at noon? Like, you should text first, Corey. What's wrong with you?" I said, "Yeah, we're just planning. I don't know if you met Daniel. He goes to school right over there at the Macy, and we're just planning. Heaven forbid, I noticed that you are home a lot during the day. At least your car is. If he had to knock on the door if something was happening, could he do that?" Absolutely. Okay, and then he would cause you to call us, and then we would come get him. Just trying to plan out a little bit. So we've actually done things like that, and it's unique to every situation, unique to every location, unique to every child and family. But the best way to protect them, we can't give them pepper spray and guns and tasers, so we can give them information and confidence. So that's my goal. I hope that answered your question, Tabitha.
It does. And Orly, you're on mute if you're going to start talking.
Sorry, I was trying to be respectful of the noise coming around me and
Oh, we got you.
disturbing and disrupting. To answer your question, I also have advice. I took child psychology, and I think that for a couple of years, and I think that the most important part is having also the kids at home feel safe to talk to their parents. See, every time they come to their parents with a problem or whatever, the parent gives advice instead of giving direction. And it's a very thin line between that. And unfortunately, sometimes the kids get actually scared of talking to their parents. And it's inculcated very early in time. Don't touch this, don't do that, don't cross the street, don't talk to strangers. But at the end of the day, it's not just that anymore. Now we have to say, you can come and talk to mommy and daddy. We're not going to be upset. We want to help. We want to protect you. If there's anything, you come and tell us, even if it's stupid, right? And unfortunately, this is a conversation that takes a little bit more time and repetition. And I think I love, Corey, what you said, because that practice of, hey, you know what? If you see the Wilson's house, go and knock on their door. I mean, it's such a beautiful thing to be able to do that. I wish that, when I was younger, that was taught to me, because I was a victim of other things, but still, it was not because I was looking for trouble, right? So,
Right.
and
So
that's what I want. Yeah, our parents
this is
sometimes.
very interesting. Very, very interesting. Go
Our
ahead.
parents
Sorry.
sometimes, no, it's okay. I'm just going to say one more thing. Our parents sometimes think that we were looking for trouble, that we were the troublemakers because we like to talk and we're friendly and we love everybody. That was me. And I know that there's a lot of kids, because we love so much and we want to be loved and we want to be, belong. That's another thing, with teenagers, especially, they want so much to belong. They'll do anything. And so you want to hurt them, hurt their image and see what happens. They'll freak out. Right. But
Right.
that is where the conversation needs to be, of a safety net. I didn't have that. And I wish that these things were in place. So if that would be the advice to answer your question, that would be the advice. Have more and more of these conversations in an open forum, and don't get emotional and don't get upset. Be rational, because kids understand more than we give them credit for too.
This is absolutely correct. And to your point, and I love the fact that you said this, but to your point, it's not about us, right? It's about that child. It's about that person, right? Most of the time, what we find is that we say, oh, in my time, when I went to school, and we bring it back to us. But unfortunately, this world has changed in a way that we never actually could foresee it happening this way. So when I was younger, I had the village, the people around me, our community. They knew who we were. They called their parents when when we were doing things we had no business doing. But we always have this one creepy house on the street. Never fails, right? And each time I would get caught up with one, just one. And I remember this guy giving me candy, and he would say, "Don't tell anybody. Don't you tell anybody, or and you can come back every day and get more candy from me," right? And then but I didn't know. My mom says, "Don't talk to strangers. Don't do all of these. You're not supposed to accept candy from them." But we're kids, and what I learned is that even though you say not to do those things, we receive mixed messages, and sometimes we find ourselves in those situations unnecessarily. What I didn't understand when I was younger was that person was grooming me to get ready to take me. Okay. But because what happened was, once I told a sibling, "Oh, he gives candy to me, you can go grab one for me," everything stopped. So if you are not doing anything wrong, then you shouldn't. There wouldn't have been, okay, I have to stop giving you candy. That meant that they were doing something. They were getting ready to do something that my parents would have definitely, my family would have definitely been impacted for the rest of their lives. And I think that that's the one thing, is that for schools, that's temporary. For families, that's a lifelong burden that they have to carry. So the other
Can I ask
thing,
a question?
yes.
Both of you, with your experience in training, but basing off of your story, but making it more anonymous, how would you recommend a parent now?
Uh-oh. He's having technical difficulties.
Right, their child has been targeted, and either the child, the school, a sibling, a neighbor, somebody comes up and says, "Hey, Mrs. Safety Man, I don't know if you know, but Creepy House is giving Corey candy. I see him go up there and come out with candy all the time. I don't want to get involved." Now Corey's coming in. Hey, can we talk to you for a second? Can you guys walk me through how that conversation should look?
Who gave you the
You know,
candy?
yeah.
You-
Oh,
I think,
well,
Orly, if you're
my
talking,
mom
you're on
never
mute again.
knew.
On mute again? No, I'm
No,
not.
she's not on mute.
I'm not
She's
on
not
mute.
on mute.
Okay.
My mom never knew I had the candy. I shared it with other people. So if somebody, no, oh, you might have, I don't know. I think that might be technical. My mom didn't know I had the candy, and I would share it with my siblings, right? But just to answer the question, but at the same time, I think that the other adults that watch it and don't do anything, I think to a certain degree are part of the problem. That's one of the reasons why bringing these solutions to the table actually helps us to understand that if you see something,
I
say
apologize.
something.
No, can't hear him.
He might have to, and he might pop off and come back on.
Yeah.
So go ahead, Orly. Go ahead and answer the question.
So, I mean, instead of saying, "Oh, who gave you the candy? Tell me," say, "Oh, you got candy? Great." And where did you get it from? And, "Oh, did you buy it from the store?" Like, slowly ease into this, because when you start aggressively, and most parents do, they're adults, right? And when they're playing adults, and so they're like, "Who gave you the candy? Where did you get it from? Did you steal it?" Like, first things that some parents say are so hurtful at first glance. Did you steal it? Who did you take it from? Did you ask for permission? Like, okay, calm down, parent, because we need to tell you to act like a child now. Candy is fun. We love sweets. Okay, that's me being a kid, right? Oh, okay, I'm happy for you. So where did you get it? Can I have one? And let them open up, because otherwise you just shut the whole wall down, and now that's it. Your window of communication with that child is already so traumatized, you will never be able to penetrate it again. They will lie, they will hide from you everything from now on. And if you've made the mistake already of doing that, of reacting instead of taking a deep breath and getting into this at the children's level, and whatever age they are, you can play that age. Where you were during that time. So if you can just take a moment and remember where you were at that time, and go back to the conversation and say, "You know what, I'm sorry." Be able to say I'm sorry to a child is big, because when we ask them to apologize, it's big. So we want to make that part dramatized more than the questioning, more than to getting into the conversation. I don't know if I'm
No,
expressing
it does
myself
make
correct.
sense. No, you're coming across very well. So yes, it 100% makes sense. So for me as a parent, I think I've had challenges, and I've had to approach them and be like, look, I mean, so I would suggest honestly to take a walk around the neighborhood, and you'll notice what'll happen is your kids will wave to people you don't know, right? And then you're like, well, hey, who is that? Where did you meet them? So then you start to gather more information. Communication is a key of all things, right? And if we can help to solve that one problem, we can probably put ourselves in much better situation with our children. And if you shut them out, if you're not willing to listen to the little things, they will never tell you the big things, because it's too scary to talk to you about it. My kids have even said that to me, and I'm like, I'm fine up until a certain point, but I do know I have to be better about it. We do
Right.
have a question.
Yes, I
So
saw that. Phil.
Phil says, what is the best advice for a fearful student who is getting bullied but is too afraid of the consequences of telling a teacher or an adult? It's a very good question.
It's a very good question. I'd like to take a moment and for 18 seconds tell my story so that everybody actually knows where I'm coming from on this subject, especially this subject. So, really fast, I was a beaten up child. I was molested 4 times before the age of 14. I was bullied in school constantly, almost every single day. I was beaten. I was also raped 3 times before the age of 22, twice gang raped, 9 months apart, left for dead. And later on as an adult, I was also married to a very abusive husband, both mentally and physically. And as a result of that, I had 4 abortions and I gained a morbid amount of weight. Now, getting back to your question, Phil. When a child is getting bullied, and it doesn't matter at what age, they need to feel safe to first come to their parents. And the parents need to take responsibility and handle it discreetly, not to harm the child at school. Because the moment that the teacher knows and the school knows, and now the kids know, because now they're going to want to know who is he being bullied by. And that's a big problem. Tattletelling was never a good thing in school. So I got beaten at home and then I got beaten at school because I talked.
Right. But
Right.
tattletelling, I think that's the one thing is that's a part of communication I don't think that people really understand. My mom would say this, all secrets are not meant to be kept, right? So you have to you have to help them understand what's an acceptable secret to keep. Hey, we're throwing a party for your mom. Don't tell her. We're going to buy these balloons or this present for your mom. Don't tell her. But okay, if the neighbor's touching you and making you feel bad, that's not it. And he tells you not to tell, that's a secret you shouldn't keep. So we really have to go a little bit further and actually get them to understand what that is. But from a bullying standpoint, I just don't get it. Why? So those bullies continue to go forward. So Corey, are you able to answer that question? What do you do when a student is too afraid to talk about their being bullied?
Thanks. I appreciate you sharing your story, Orly, and God bless you. And I pray for you to be good always going forward. And thanks for the input that you put in there. My eyes just lit up so much when you told me how to get down to that kid's level, emotional maturity level, and talk to him or her in their language. Like it was just kind of like as long as I've been doing this, it was it was just crazy awesome how you put that just really really succinctly. So thank you for that piece of information. Um, in reference to what Tabitha said, just moving forward just a little bit, I want to empower my kids. Right? I want them to have confidence in something, some things. Have confidence that their parents got their backs, confidence in they can take care of themselves. So all of them are physically fit. They can take care of themselves, less likely to be bullied. If a kid is confident, if the kid is competent, if the kid is in good physical shape, if the kid has a good home relationship, is outgoing and all those things, he or she is much less likely to have anything happen to them as far as bullying or being taken back for human trafficking, because that's just not going to be the profile. You can't have this big outgoing kid, yo man, how's it going? Yeah, what's up? Fist bump at everybody when he or she walks into class. That's not the target for anybody. Right? So again, making our kids, everybody, confident and competent, taking them to karate, taking them to mixed martial arts, getting them to hear from somebody other than Corey, situational awareness, stranger danger, cross the street when you don't like something, all these different things. I can say it 10,000 times. This person can say it once. The soccer coach or football coach can say it once. Really? That's that easy? Okay. So I hope that kind of went to your question too.
That is funny and it's very true. But I do believe communication has to start. We have to get to the place where first of all, I told mine, you will not be the bully because I will be your bully. You will not be that bully. But here's one thing as parents, One of the things parents, all of us adults, need to stop doing this one thing. No, that can't possibly be them. Wrong. That can 100% be them. So if your child is being bullied, okay, they need to say something. But if your child is a bully and somebody says your child is bullying me, the first response should never be, that's not my child, because you do not know the circumstances and the situations that brought them to that place, and whether that child is being beat at home and those are being taught there, and then they're sent off to school to find somebody younger to beat on or smaller to beat on because that is happening to them. It perpetuates itself, and I think it's important for us to be mindful of that as an adult.
I agree. I agree. And as I want to just touch on another point that actually just piggybacks on yours, is that when a parent, I mean, basically, if there is a complaint ever in anything, there's no smoke without a fire. Gotta check it, gotta investigate it, gotta look at it closer. Don't accuse your child because they bullied somebody. Go to them and say, what happened at school today? Something that is not so invasive, right? And unfortunately, parents become the bullies too. They want to defend their child, so they'll go and say, well, my child would never do that, and I don't believe that, and it's obviously your child, not my child. And they become defensive. We need to give a mindset mastery class for the parents, basically, because they have also issues that they haven't resolved. Very simple. They haven't resolved them. And it's okay. Everybody goes on their own journey at their own time and their own pace. But when it comes to our children, we gotta not become a bully, you know?
Right. I agree with that. So the one thing I'm going to say is 12 out of 15 of the active shooters in the 1990s reported being bullied. Now, I know that we're talking about bullying again, and people feel as though, oh my gosh, we already had this conversation. Well, it actually continues to go through a lot of different scenarios for a student and a child. So
Sure.
let's think about this. At the end of the day, when these children have been bullied, it results in a couple of different things. One is, we know that anyone who has already had some type of physical or sexual attack, they become more susceptible for someone to pick them up and either bully them, to take them in and offer them as a service for another individual. And they also can become one of the active shooters that Corey is working so diligently to try to avoid. So my thing is that we as the adults, we have to be willing to say, is it possible that this student is having this challenge? And do not have your bias only protect those you think should want to be protected. You would want to protect all of the children,
Of
and
course.
then you can help sort out some of this stuff. So let's just be clear. There are Black students and there are white students, and then there are many of the others, right? Just because the others are not the primary all the time doesn't mean that they don't have those encounters. And it's not fair to say that, oh, because he's a bully, or because I seen him do this, or I don't like him, I won't support him. Those children pick that stuff up, and you're actually putting them in the line of fire unnecessarily. We're here to protect them until they turn 18, so then they can turn around and protect those that are coming behind them. But we're not going to be able to do that if we don't even acknowledge and see them as whole people on their own.
Absolutely.
So, what is the one thing you want to leave everybody with today about what you do and what you are looking for? We want to be able to support you and what your efforts are, but we want to make sure that everybody understands this is about finding a solution to a problem that we know exists. And all of the problems or the challenges that I've brought forward have all been ones that the schools have been reported on, and it's across all 50 states. So what is the one thing you want to leave everybody with today?
Which one of
Well, we'll start with you, Orly.
Okay. All right. Because I talked, right?
No.
The one thing I would say is get involved. No matter how little, how an hour, 5 minutes every day or a week. It doesn't matter. Get involved. because I love this quote, Tabitha, and it's, if you're not a part of the solution, you're a part of the problem. And so don't think that it's somebody else's problem. That's a big thing especially in America. Oh no, this is happening somewhere else and it's not happening in my backyard and it's not my problem. Therefore, I don't have to be involved or protect anyone. That is a fallacy. Human trafficking is happening in your own backyard and you wouldn't even know it. So I invite you to, if you want to get involved in whatever cause that you want, of course, visit youaremylight.org. If you want to get involved with us, reach out to Tabitha if you want to come on our advisory council. Corey, I would love to have a one-to-one with you and maybe bring you on board. I think we're going to need you in so many ways, not just one. But Tabitha, I just want to thank you, really, from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for giving everybody a voice, and the parents as well. Thank you.
Yes, I appreciate you. I'm so thankful for that. Go ahead, Corey. What do you want to end with? What do you want to leave with everyone?
Thank you, Tabitha, for providing this much needed platform. And thank you for consistently doing it over and over and over and over again and consistently getting this message out there so it doesn't get forgotten. Orly, thank you again for sharing your story. I appreciate you made a statement in the middle of talking just now that was really important to me. And I think you can kind of summarize what my mission has always been throughout my career but I want to tie it down to what we're talking about, our vulnerable children, right? We want to get to know our kids' friends, get to know their friends. They have friends. I mean, a lot of times now it's on the phone, but I know my son, he goes and hangs out with both of them. They go and hang out with people different times, but also get to know their parents, right? Yeah, pretend you're doing a little spy game, you're doing a little game. Get to know their parents, see how they interact, if they think nobody's watching, or they cool with each other. What modeling is your kid getting when he's over at that friend's house, right? Or in the back of that car going to or from a sporting event or something like that. I'm not talking about being judgmental, but just to see what kind of input he or she is getting. Because you also said there's smoke before fire, or where there's smoke, there's probably a fire. So the behavior manifesting may look a certain way, but it might be indicative of some other trauma or some other issue that's going on. And you're right. If we don't look at it, we're going to have some sort of inflection point or flashpoint. So that's why I think Impact is such a great tool because it's a very low input way for anybody to report smoke. Imagine if your house was on fire, but if the first off was just your grill and the neighbor saw some smoke coming out of your backyard. When do you want them to call the fire department? When the fire's coming out of the front door, when the smoke's still in the grill, right? That's what Impact does. It gives us the ability to do that and get eyes on the problem or get water on the fire before we have that flashpoint or inflection point. Those flashpoint inflection points could be anything from self-harm to acting out to just saying, you know what, I don't care about school life, my future, anything else. Or we go the other way and decide what our behavior is going to be a danger to other people. We're going to go and hurt that bully, hurt that one person, take it out on somebody, or do that active shooter or worse. So I'd like that you said that where there's smoke, there's fire. Impact, give us a window to take a look at it, figure out what it is, assess and investigate it, put the best tools to help that person, his or her family, and so forth, before we get to that flashpoint, that inflection point where their kid becomes self-injurious or difficulty to others. Thank you both. Stay safe.
This is amazing. So one of the things I want to make clear. So they were talking about. You gotta go. Have a good one.
Sorry, guys. Bye bye.
Don't worry. Thank you so much, Orly. So I'll just close it out here. The thing I want to make sure that we're very clear about is that bullying impacts every aspect of a child's well-being. That is their education, their physical, mental, emotional bodies, right? Self. The reason why I wanted to make sure we made that very clear is that when they don't show up to school, they can't learn. So if they're being bullied in school, they're not learning. So that means the fact that more than 60% don't read on grade level, that's a problem, right? So that's actually a symptom of a larger problem. The fact that teachers want to quit their jobs because they don't feel empowered enough to do their jobs, right? That is also something that contributes to the health and well-being of that child. Because when you have teachers who feel like they're either being bullied by their administrators or they're having challenges with their coworkers. That also contributes to not being able to educate our children and doing all the right things, right? So I just feel as though I want to make it very clear there are different solutions that will help to solve these problems and these challenges for our children, because we are responsible for making sure they do all of the right things. It is our responsibility to do something. So we have brought to you today, after the rescue type of a thing for You Are My Light Foundation. So in the event that you actually are part of the rescue, you can always contact Orly's group in order to have her help usher them back into a healthy way of living. We had James that came on. It showed how he's able to use just a simple QR code or a code of some sort that will have you to be able to report the smoke before there's fire. And in the event that it's after they're already in a situation, they can actually use that as a way to get out. And then we have you, Corey, who's been able to successfully tell us how we're able to protect and save our children from strangers. And even part of the bullying is you're going to help to bring down the negative level for those who have been bullied or who want to be an active shooter of some kind. I did have one story I wanted to share. When I was working on this specific show, I had a conversation with someone who was being bullied when they were younger. And what was strange about it was that his mom found the gun because it fell out of his pocket as she was taking him to school. If it wasn't for her and how she responded, he would have been in jail for the rest of his life, but he would have impacted a number of other families because his aim was to permanently stop that bully from tormenting him. At the end of the day, it is our responsibility as the adult to fix these problems. But first, we have to learn to communicate with those ones who are struggling with the coping skills to get it done. So I thank everybody for spending their day and their hour with us. And thank you, Corey, for hanging out with me for this time. And I look forward to the next one. So everybody, words are power. Remember to use them wisely.
Stay
Thank
safe.
you for your time today. We appreciate the support and look forward to you visiting us again next week. Same time, same place. Until then, words are power. Please remember to use them wisely. If you have an interest, like to be on our live show, please let us know and send us a direct message.